She Quest Podcast is heart-opening dialogues for self-identified women on a She Quest, a movement moving forward, striving to live aware, bold, and whole. Welcome. Hi, She Quest. Welcome to She Quest Podcast guest series. I'm your host, Estelle Thompson. This series of podcast shows is titled Beauty of Relationships. Help yourself, help others. This month, we explore and dive deep in the beauty of relationships. And for me, that means going beyond our relationship with others and look at the relationship we have with ourselves and our inner voices first. This month, I thought I would bring the podcast close to home. I have hoped to interview my dad, my best friend, my husband, and an extra bonus guest, my brother, who is visiting as well. So I thought, what the heck? Let's just having him on the show. But my hope is that through our guests this month, through, my relations, that, you start seeing that relationship, your own relationship that you have with others is a direct reflection of how you treat yourself. Also, how building a relationship with your inner voices can empower the relationship with yourself and your life. So today, I'm so very thrilled to have my brother, Alexi Drouin, you now all know my maiden name, on the show. Alexi is the vice president of Quantum University in Honolulu, Hawaii. He's an innovative educator and director who creatively leads teams of administrators, experts, and professionals. Together with the founder, our dad, he established Quantum University, an online degree granting institution that provides knowledge in integrative medicine to millions worldwide. After more than 15 years of operation, 10,000 students, 500,000 followers, and 10 million video views, Quantum University has undeniably become a leader in holistic healthcare education. But I digress. Alexi holds a Bachelor of Arts in Cinema and Television with an emphasis on film production. And finally, my brother is super highly organized, much more than me, And he's an expert in online education, video production, project management, digital marketing, and event coordination, and consciousness studies. And that's probably the part that I love the most about his bio, is that his purpose in life is to raise awareness through love, art, experience, and education. And I love that. Alexi joins me here in my art and yoga studio in Cow Bay. Hi.
Hello, sis.
You're the best. So, because here in the program in She Quest, it's really a program where we strive to live aware and bold and whole. I always start my interviews with asking my guests, what makes you feel alive today?
Oh my God. Well, right now I'm just I'm so warm in the heart. I'm so proud to be on your show. So
Stop, I'm gonna cry.
Oh my gosh, let's both cry together.
Oh my God.
No, I live for this. I live for to actually hear you smile and laugh. I think it was an event I did a few years back where you were in the audience and you were laughing, and I was like, you guys, I'm just trying to make my sister laugh. That thing keeps me alive. So.
There's a story my dad has always said. He's because my brother always, when he was a kid, he would do make stand-up comedy, kind of recreating other people's jokes and stuff.
Yeah, mostly repeating other people's jokes.
So nobody in our family would laugh, but me. So then my dad would always say well, if you had 200 Estelle in the room.
That's it. The whole audience was filled with Estelle. And then the whole audience, I could do uh, champion de Tetris
Oh God.
international. Sorry, it's like inside joke from like 20 years ago, but
So,
still works.
full disclaimer, and a bit of a warning, this whole podcast might be an entire inside joke.
Yes.
And also just like hearing us laugh. And I think over the years, like, I think because we haven't been living in the same location, I think when we do kind of hang out, like, it's just over the top. Like,
Yes, a little bit. I definitely go overboard, but you and I, we go way back, man. We go back. I think I remember you from whenever I can start remembering stuff. That's how far back we go. So,
and by the way, I'm the oldest.
yes, you
Yeah.
know, but then even yes, technically 22 months.
22 months
I know,
older.
but then I feel like people now think I'm the oldest brother for some
I
reason.
know.
I don't know, but I'll take it.
I just
I
have
like it.
better face cream than
Yes,
you,
of
I
course.
think.
Yes, you must, or you have less stress than I do. One of the two.
One of the two. But before we dive deep in the subject, and it's kind of fun for me, you're actually my second male guest on the show.
I know. Such a manly show. What's my e-quest?
I want to talk about your he quest in a bit, but anyways, I just want to. It's so special for me to have like either dad or you, and it's almost symbolic too, like that. Yeah, that like the first male, I guess, that would be on the show would be like the ones like closest to me, I guess. But so like before we dive deep, and I wanted you on because you're such an expert in like leadership and coaching and like organization as well, and like that's something I'm really striving more to, I guess, be a little bit more. So I want us to go over that and everything you've learned over the years, I guess, like leading people and groups of people. But before you do that, can you just tell everyone listening, like, just what's your story, like cultural upbringing, where you grew up, and
sure. Well,
like your and we say like our she story, but like your he story and how you got where you got. And I know it's like it could be so long, but like just like
okay. Well, let's see where it goes. But most of you, my claim to fame is I'm Estelle's photographer in Hawaii. So I don't know about all the other stuff you read in your bio, but if you've ever been on Estelle's Instagram and it's a picture in Hawaii in a yoga outfit in front of a graffiti, it's me. This is I'm the
and you love doing it.
I do. This is why this is the one place I can brag about it. So and I'll take my my credit. But gosh, it's weird. I've never told to and I'll try to keep it short. But on June 1st, 1983. No, I mean this is where we shared the most of our history was when we were younger. So we're both born in or I was born in a small town south of Quebec City in the Beauceville to be precise. And I think around 11 is when we moved out. So Estelle and I, we moved a little bit all over the place, I think is the best way to describe it. And we sort of landed in Quebec City for a few years. And then we kind of went, I went back in school from French and English schools. And right at, Estelle actually was pretty much very much an inspiration at the time because we were both doing theater. And I wanted to do exactly like what my sister was doing. I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to hype it up on your podcast. No, it was because I was shooting to go where you went to school for your acting conservancy. And because at that time, gosh, I was at least doing like 5 years of theater at the high school that I was at. And then right at my last year, right before graduating high school, is when our father moved to the United States. So he went first to Florida and then to California. And then I'm like, I want to be an actor. California seems to be where Hollywood is. And I just realized podcasts don't see any of my hands gestures, but that's okay. You can probably picture me waving my hands around a lot.
He's waving his hands.
Yes, it's theater of the mind. Picture me moving my hands around. So I thought, so I just jumped right on the opportunity and I moved to California. But I soon realized that I was in San Diego, California, and not Hollywood, California. But and there I still pursued my kind of acting, not career there, but aspiration. And I got an associate degree in theater arts. And that kind of culminated in me doing an extra gig there for Master and Commander
Oh
in
yeah.
Mexico, where they have like a big studio. And it's like usually like an extra gig is like you show up there one afternoon, you eat some spaghetti and you leave, that kind of thing. And
So my brother, what he means by that, he was an extra in the movie with Russell Crowe, Masters and Commanders.
correct,
Yeah.
which most people have not seen. So if you've not seen it, it's completely normal. But it actually won an Academy Award. But
Did it?
yeah, for
What?
like best cinematography or something.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was funny because at the time we were like, somebody else had told us there's another, because it's a ship and not pirate movie, but kind of. And they were like, there's another movie being shot right now with pirates and ship. And we were like, we have Russell Crowe. We're so set. And then they were like, oh no, this other movie, it's got skeletons and stuff. We're like, ha ha ha, skeleton. Turns out this other movie was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh my God.
So it's like 7 movies later and one park,
Wow.
and so yeah, so clearly the other movie had a bit more leg. So I did that, and that was an experience that was real influential for many different reasons. First, I think it's when I realized that it's just as much fun being behind the camera as it is being in front. I tell this story all the time, but I remember this guy was training us how to fake fight, because when you're on movie set, you don't actually really fight. And this guy was like teaching us to fake fight, and really it was like a 40-year-old guy that looked like he was playing like a kid. And I think that kind of does
40-year-old that was playing like
yeah, well, he's teaching us how to sword fight for fake. Like, so of course he looks like he's having a blast. He's probably getting paid a boatload of money to teach everybody how to fake fight. And I'm like, that sounds like a really awesome way to, an awesome career to have. And you don't necessarily need to be in front of the camera. And then I got to see the behind the scene a lot. And then as well, the other part that was important is that it was in Mexico, and I got paid for, at my age, was a lot of money, and they paid for everything else. So I had some money that allowed me to travel to Europe after. So right after doing that for about 4 months, I went back to Canada for a little bit, where we hung out in Montreal, my sister and I, and then me and my best friend went to Europe for almost a year. It was about 10 months. And that's when I did quite a bit of traveling, and I think that was very formative as well for my years, my experience. Get to see the world, travel, just basic survival at times, and then just kind of life school a little bit, and also broaden your horizon. And it was always fantastic. Like, you talk about like, oh, what makes you alive, that kind of stuff. Like, I remember just like every new corner you would walk in, because you go to Europe like often there, you walk a new corner, you're like, I've never seen this corner. It's like, it's a brand new thing that, so I love that aspect. I did about 14 countries, did travel, like the backpacking kind of stuff, on a shoestring budget at the time. And then I came back, and at that point I was like, I got to go back to school, because I'd pretty much taken an extended break from school, but it was school of life, getting to work on a movie and traveling across the world. Like, that's the best school you can have in certain cases. So I think it was certainly part of my educational growth. And then, so at that point, returned. My father was still in San Diego. And so I moved there, and then went to school in LA. And also at the same time, at that point, my father had founded the school that was just an institute. So I would help out, odds and I'd always been good with computers. I think that was, I got lucky that my father invested in a computer at a young age. And so I would always do little things like that, the website, this or that. And then I went to school, film school in LA at Cal State Northridge. And that was fantastic as well. I mean, tons of great connections, and it was really also was very insightful as far as how to tell stories, edit, and so more the production aspect of it, which at that point I was just fascinated. I just love it. And then again, it's like when it comes down to it, when you're this is why I loved it so much, because when you actually do movies, at least for my experience in those scenarios, it just looked like a bunch of kids playing around with big toys, instead of having your toys, whatever it is, you're running around with cameras and so on. So it is like playing, and that's when you're in a flow state and creating art and so on. So I did that. I graduated, and after that, at that point, the school had picked up. So we moved from California, the institute, to Hawaii to make it a university. And that was about 2007, 2008. And then I just kind of buckled down. I kind of put my head down, did quite a bit of work for the school. And, we created all sorts of courses. And, from what was just a master's program and a doctorate, we did a bachelor's program. A PhD program as well. And I would say around between 2009 and really certainly around 2012 is when, it really was like the hockey stick kind of growth. And then we went from just just my father and I, with Maria and the whole team to, getting 12 employees, and then 12 employees, 20. And then now we're about 30. We have 9,000 students, 2,000 full-time students, and 150 like total kind of network, and the reach, online and Facebook and so on, because we started early, is millions, and so that's just from doing a little bit of work every day. And yeah, so that's sort of, here. Yeah, that's, and now I'm in Hawaii. I'm just so grateful, so happy to be there. I've got a little dog, I've got a girlfriend. It's like my house is by the beach. I so know that I'm so lucky where I'm at. I'm so grateful. And that's where I'm at now. I continue to work hard and kind of push the limit. And to a certain degree, like, this is a non-traditional, I think we were talking about that, like both my sister and I, to a certain degree, have had non-traditional childhoods, if you've listened to the podcast, but my father, it's very non-traditional. And to have that kind of journey to go from like a small little rural town in Quebec, to somehow make it in California and then travel through Europe and then land in Hawaii. God, no, like, I didn't even think of going to Hawaii before I moved
I know
there.
when I see you guys are there, like, it feels so random. Like, yeah, my dad and my brother live in Hawaii.
I know. Sometimes people look at me like, is he just like, are you saying the truth right now, or are you just pulling my leg? So I know I'm very grateful being there, and and on the other end, and I'm sure we'll get to talk about that, but it's that non-traditional pathway that now I think where I'm at in my life has led me to discover and go back to school to a certain degree, really to learn more, because I didn't go to school for leadership, or I didn't go to school for administrating a university, or it kind of manifested in front of me, and now it's about learning so it's a whole, I think, episode of my life of really growing in that fashion.
Yeah, and I guess what leads me to the next question is, like, how important is, like, building a relationship with yourself, and how has it helped you build a relationship with others, and, like, maybe think more in like managing your people there at the school. Like, how does, like, leadership comes in place? And at Chic West, we talk a lot about, like, everyone's a leader, like, and like, to claim that, like, your inner leader, like, it's not because you're like a stay-at-home mom that you're not a leader. You're actually like the most important leader of all. Like, and like for me, I always think, like, it starts in the home. Like, it doesn't, I feel sometimes like we think of leaders as like politician and this and that, like people that have a voice, but it's like everyone has a voice.
Yeah, well, I think the classic example is like when you're at in the airplane and they're doing like the video at the beginning, like, you got to put your mask on before you got to help the next person. So and this is like, because ultimately, like, the expression is lead by example, and it's tougher than it sounds. Like, you go like, lead by example, and you go like, really? It's a lot more, like, it seems a lot easier to just slap somebody around and go like, you do this, and bark orders and so on. But turns out we're all adults here, and nobody wants to be barked orders at, and true motivation comes out from within, true sustained motivation. Like, you could yell at somebody and get them to do something in the moment, but if somebody has matched their inner motivation, their inner self towards the same goal that you have, and you get to foster that's leadership. And that it's because you've created a leader inside of that person.
So how do you cultivate your inner leader?
I'm not gonna go out there and claim like I'm like some,
nobody's perfect.
Let's start with this. And and I think, like, I wanted to share this, and I mentioned it to you, but I think this part of like listening to yourself, your inner self, is so important. And I got to learn it kind of the hard way, where at the beginning of the year, this year, it's just stress, work stress, and there was tons of meeting, and combined with a whole picture. I don't have to point out every detail, but I came. I had just the weirdest. It was like I had a fever, and then the next day I was like, oh, my ear is blocked. Right? Did I tell? Did I not tell you
Yes,
that?
and I
Okay.
can't wait for you to tell them.
So I go, my ear is blocked, and I've had this before, where it's like I don't know, you got wax in your ear or something like that, and then it was the weirdest thing where we actually had I guess it's a different form of leadership as well, but it's like a team building day where we would go out in Hawaii. We'd rent they're outriggers, these giant canoes, and we put our teams, and then we kind of compete back and forth, just racing around. Then we go to an island. This is what we did actually, and we got to the other side, and we were swimming and all that stuff. And what happened is that day, like I woke up and I was not feeling well, and I probably should have stayed home, but I pushed everybody to be there, and then I was like, I can't bail out now. Like I got to be there for the team. And so I do all of that, and I come back home, and I'm like, oh gosh, I just I feel and then you just went swimming, sometimes you got water in your ear. So you're like, okay, I just got water in my ear. And then the next day I wake up and it's both my ears. And I'm going like, oh my God, both my ears are blocked. And then to the point where it was very I felt like I was, you're like living in an airplane, but you're at home. Like it's like, "Whoa." And so I did like every home recipe. I was like putting whatever in my ear, which probably wasn't a good thing. And then at some point I knew it. Well, yeah, because I'm like putting like olive oil in my ear.
No.
I swear to God,
What?
I read the internet and then
No.
no, I did not. I was
Google.
watching YouTube. I did not Google that. That's like probably a advisement there for people. But so, and I remember, I think I was playing something on my phone, and it sounded like a failed speaker. And I looked at Kate, and I was like, "My phone is broken." She looked at me and was like, "No, your phone is not broken." And I was taking it very well, but I was like kind of freaking out on the inside because I couldn't hear. So I was like, "Let's go to the ER," right? Because I couldn't hear anymore. Like Kate and I were texting to each other in front of each other to communicate. And I get to and then I'm there. Oh, it's just like wax or water. I've been swimming, blah, 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 blah. I get to the ER, and then they look at my ear. There's like, no, there's no wax buildup. There's no, so I'm like, oh, this is weird. And then they go like, you've got to see a specialist. So the next day they booked me an appointment with a specialist first thing in the morning. And they go like, turns out, which is the weirdest thing. Like this is when like the doctors just don't know. They go like, I had Southern hearing loss syndrome, which means they just didn't know what it just, and I lost pretty much all my ear. And thank God it actually came back. So it mostly came back on this left ear, and right ear I'm still struggling a little bit, but it's mostly back. But it was quite a rude awakening. And I think the tie into what we're talking about is in my healing process from that, because it took weeks and weeks afterwards to recover my hearing on both sides. It was twofold. I think there was, it's like there's things in life that you don't want to hear, or and then it was like my body telling me like, you don't have to hear this. I know a way. Oh, you don't want to hear this? I know a really good way. It's a bit dramatic. You'll lose all your hearing, but I promise it works. But the second part was I had to listen to my inner self, which I don't think I was doing at the time.
And that forced you to do that.
Yeah.
Like I remember the first time you told me that story, like it was really symbolic for you.
Yeah.
Like you realize you're like this has no explanation. Like I completely lost my hearing, and like it was a lot to do with perhaps like boundaries as well.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
absolutely.
Just learning but like, and for me, like that story, for me, that's your he story, you know?
It definitely is.
That is, because like, and like out of that, like, and like how slow the recovery was, we're like, okay, so how do I listen to my inner? Because like, and that's another thing, like in Chic West, we talk about is like, you cannot have a voice if you can't hear your own voice.
Yes, correct.
Like, and so that's why like techniques like, chanting or like singing and stuff, helps because you're finally hearing your voice.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, and another thing I really love is I read somewhere as like a quote. It said, "Your soul is contained in your voice," because really, like, your voice is like your vibration.
Yeah.
Like and your vibration is your soul.
Yeah. No, yeah.
I mean, it's like completely simplistic, like thing. Like I'm just saying, but
yeah,
like,
and you think like I'm I guess we both are, but I'd be consider myself like an extroverted person, and you know I speak with, I think before even this
I'm
incident.
introvert.
What?
Yes.
Get out of here!
Yes.
You're not introvert.
I am.
Miss, I've got an acting degree. I'm introvert.
But see, that's where people get messed up, because
What do you mean?
that for me, like, I love public speaking, and I mean, I do it every week, but what gives me energy is like the happiest I am is like alone in my studio.
Really?
Yes.
That's where you get like your
Yes.
How
That's
come?
where I get my charge, is like alone and like studying and stuff. And a lot of people like misjudge because like I'm so outgoing,
Yeah,
and like
sure.
I do love public speaking.
Look
but
how much people misjudge. Even her own brother did not know. Oh, oh wow, that's well. I guess her brother's an extrovert, or at least and I do agree. Like even if when I'm on, but when I do come home, like that's when I recharge the battery, and I do understand that. I do though, like I was just I'm gonna name drop. I was just at Harvard doing a communication class, but it's like the only Harvard I'll ever get, and it's like a 2-day training, so nobody get too excited.
But it was a leadership.
It was a leadership communication, and they're there, like, you know, because it's something crazy. Like more people are afraid of public speaking than they are to like get hit by a bus or something like that. Right?
Wow.
No, I know, it's something great. Literally, like it's the biggest fear in the world. And I'm going like, no, like I'm like I want to speak in front of person. Like they actually split up the two groups, and because we all got to do a speech, and they split the two groups in two. I'm like, you split up the group. I wanted to talk to everybody. Like I was like, I get, like I do get a certain amount of energy from the social aspect of it. And don't get me wrong, like there's times I just want to hide in my cocoon. So yeah, so it's not like I didn't think I had my voice. I think there's a time where
I think for you it was more about like inner listening.
Correct. Yeah. And I think you're right, setting boundaries as well. Like because there's times in life where it's like well, I just read actually some Harvard Business Review article that was it's actually one of the most downloaded article from the Harvard Business Review from like 1964.
Oh, we'll have to link it. We can link it in the show notes.
And it's called like Who's Got the Monkey or something like that. I'll have to get that's
yes, please.
And then, but it's when you're a leader or a manager, like there's a point where like you run, because you run your own business, and even actually to a certain degree, you just hired like an assistant. You've had people to help you. So there's a point when you get to a certain size of a business where you can't do everything by yourself. You have to start delegating. And then at first it's easy, and they call them actually inflection points where you get to about 12 people or so, and there's a bit of a challenge there because it's not the same. That running a 4-person business, running a 12-people business is different. When you're at 25 and 30 is completely different ballpark, right? I think it's like when you, and then what happens at some point when you manage a bunch of people, they'll come with their problems to you. And I think what ends up happening is, this is what the article was about, is that it's like somebody comes over and they bring their monkey to you, and then they give you their monkey and they go, this is my problem. Can you help me solve the problem? And I think our general reaction is to just take their monkey and go like, oh, let me work on it a little bit. I'll pass it back to you.
Interrupting this incredibly heart-opening episode to let you know about my new yoga channel. If you're listening to this podcast as a SheQuest member, this feature is included with the membership sisterhood community. Yay! More than 10 yoga practices and curated yoga playlists for each class. Classes and programs are being uploaded on a monthly basis. If you aren't part of the membership and would like to try the yoga channel, this option is now available. Use the coupon SHEYOGA. That's SHEYOGA, all big letters, to get 1 month free and tell the women and men you know and love about this stunning opportunity to develop a home yoga practice. Chic West membership doors will open again in January, but until then, enjoy my yoga channel and say yes to moving, yes to connecting with your body, and yes to Chic West. Now back to our ever expanding conversation.
But what happens, you collect everybody's monkeys. And next thing you know, Friday night, you're still dealing with their monkeys. They're out going to the home and having dinner with their family or taking the weekend off or something. And you're there working all weekend long. So the idea of boundaries is saying like, no, these are not my monkeys. And it's kind of hard. I think a lot of people want, have this inkling, like they want to work and want to, be in the mud there dealing with all these problems, but that's not true leadership. Like if you're just taking on their monkeys, solving it for them and then passing it back, they're not growing as individuals. And it feels like it's quicker. In the moment you go like, oh, that's quicker, I'm just going to do it myself. But it's not. Like the true leadership is to foster that individual to get to solve the problem by themselves. And they want your help. You come, you check in, you give them, not even give them advice. You really just ask them questions on how they would best solve it and find it inside of them, the answers, because then they'll be able to solve it for the rest of their life. It's the classic don't give a man a fish or whatever. I'm going to screw this expression. teach a fish to whatever.
I love that story. I love that story though, because I love the monkey metaphor too. And I think too, it can be almost like juxtaposed in like our fam, like in our, like anybody else family. Let's say like, your Quantum University like employees, they really are kind of like a little family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and then I think you can, and too, like I saw something last week, something like you can really learn from that story within your own like family, boundaries within your own family. And that saying, it was like a saying, me too, I'm going to butcher it, but it was like, family is everything. And it's like, actually, family is not everything. Correct, and you're allowed to have like boundaries with your family, and you don't have to collect like everybody's monkeys, because then like at the end, then you're just like.
Yeah, and I think, and what was nice, so that article was written in 1964, and then they added an addendum from Franklin Covey, I believe, which is a more modern, writer of leadership material. And because the truth is, I think even back in the 60s or 70s, I think it was this control and command kind of leadership, right? It's like, it's very much like, you do this, this is it, this almost like military kind of style. But now it's really, I think we're well into the empowerment age of leadership, which is not about command and control. It's about let people be leaders by themselves. Because guess what? You as a leader shouldn't be taking on their monkey. You have a gorilla to go fight, like in the other room. That's you as a leader. You should be taking on the gorilla. Let them take care of the monkeys. And I think it's harder said than done. But that's certainly where I'm trying to evolve to in the leadership space, because I think it's and it's harder said than done, and I'm certainly not a master at it as well. But it's a mix of creating boundaries, fostering and coaching people to be the right the right individual, certainly connecting also with their mission and their vision of who they want to be. But I find
it's hard too. Like, it makes me think, like, when people sign up for, because I've been doing so many online, and I mean, your whole university is run online. And like, I used to get a kick out of like, people think I'm gonna fix them, and it was like, oh, like now they sign up for this, like, okay, like fix me, and I was like, no. But it's this whole framework of like, okay, tell me what to do, like, okay, Estelle, like, tell me what to do, like, give me instruction, like 1, 2, 3, and like, what do you do? And I was like, no, but like a connection to yourself, that's not how it works. Like, connect to your soul or your inner voice. It like. And it's like the most like paradoxical thing where like, I can't teach you to do that. Like, you need to like be curious and find the ways that like works best for you. And I guess I'm going to tie it to the next question with like, how do you foster that inner leader, like in yourself? Like, what do you do now, like after this whole ear, like drama and
I think I
so
did
that
all
it doesn't happen
again.
That
I'm sure you cover super well in your stuff, and I did meditation and yoga. I think too, it was weird because
What's your schedule like? Do you do like?
I wake up very, very early, and then I try to do it. So I'm actually, I didn't read the book, but I did this. It was on YouTube, and they do these great recaps. I think it's called The Productivity Game, and it's a
Ooh.
great little show on YouTube that breaks down kind of leadership and self improvement books and gives it to you in like a 10-minute kind of format. And they were talking about the Miracle Morning. Have you heard about that one?
No.
So, and I'm sure it's much more extended, but this was the shorter version of it. It pretty much entail like you wake up in the morning, you don't look at your phone, you just wake up quietly, get out of bed, and then you go for a walk, a 5-minute walk. And it's more like a meditative walk where, you're not looking at your phone, you're walking around, you're looking at nature, you're trying to hear stuff, you're trying to connect. And in my case, I have my little dog Maya, so
I was gonna say like it's easy for us because we have dogs.
Well, yeah, so it really works out well because she is like first thing in the morning, she's up, I bring her out, and then and where I walk is like right by the ocean, and then there's a palm tree. Sometimes it's like the moon and everything, and it's just gorgeous. And then you walk for about 5 minutes. And there's where I kind of do I've kind of grown to do my own thing there, but I do some stretching or some light yoga kind of thing. And then you're supposed to do some affirmation as well, like things like what you want, like I am a leader, or saying something in
a mantra,
a mantra in the in the present tense. And then you run back home, which which when you think about it, like a 5-minute walk, the running back home is going to take you like a minute, like 45 seconds. So it's not enough of a run where you're even going to break a sweat, but it's enough to get your heart rate going. And then what the book prescribes is when you get home, then you pick up a book and then you write away, because then your blood is going, you're into it. Then you pick up a book and then it's kind of, you're supposed to annotate stuff, and you don't, maybe read 10 pages or something, not like a big amount. And then you try to digest, make it applicable, get something out of it, write it down. And then you go on with your day kind of thing. So, and then that also, so not only does it feed the body, but it also feeds the brain, which is also an important part, I think, of being a leader. In my case, I go straight to work because my work a lot of time involves reading and digesting stuff. So I feel like I'm super with it. And then what I learned, I was doing that in the morning, and then I start to do it more often in the day where I don't maybe like take as much of that meditative sense. But I'll take my dog for a walk and then I'll just run back, especially if I feel like I hit like some sort of, not writer's block. In my case, that's less applicable, but where I'm like, I'm just exhausted. I need another, instead of having another cup of coffee or whatever, or just like crashing and just, looking at Facebook for the next half hour, I just stand up, I do a walk, I run back, and then I'm good. I can go for another like 2-3 hours. So that's what I do right in the morning.
So that's kind of like your little soul ritual.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
I love that. And that works for you,
That works for me.
But I love, and the phone thing, oh my God, my phone is not in my bedroom anymore. And I try, like, it's been like after 7, yeah. I try to not have my phone with me. I mean, on weekends, I guess. And I try to take sometimes like breaks, or like even like a day off, like a week.
I remember, ironically, I saw this on my phone, but no, it was a video, and the guy was like, it's like almost like a philosophical conversation you should have. Is like, does your phone have the right to interrupt you with whatever it is, right?
Love
like,
that.
Like it's your life, like you're somehow like they're intervening or injecting themselves in your life with stuff that it's not really like a,
important. Yeah, I know. I think sometimes like we're going to look back at this time and being like, what the fuck we were.
I think what happens is we have to discover, as like, it sounds a bit weird to say that, but as a human race, for us to deal with it, I think it sort of happened. What really it is, like, to a certain degree, is like Facebook is so good of a product that it's that addicting that you want, that it creates this rush of dopamine, and it's almost, it has this, oh my God, like people are liking my stuff, even though it's all kind of virtual. And then the thing is, I don't think we had that understanding of the implication of what it meant.
Yeah, and it gets so much more complex too. And like, for you and I, it's like part of our work now.
Yeah.
It's part of the reality.
It's baked in. And so what happened is that, like, as I noticed this, I would be like, oh, everything was well. I've just finished my work. I close up and then right before going to bed, I'd check my emails, and then it would be some sort of work thing that obviously I wasn't going to deal with because I was going to go to bed. But now I'm starting to think about it,
Yeah.
and now it's spinning in my head. And then I wake up in the morning and it's spinning in my head. And then, but I'm not going to get to it until whatever 9 until I actually like start a text. So now like it's consumed my mental for a certain amount because I let it in.
Yeah.
So so at one point, so when I kind of became aware of that, I was like, so I disabled all my notifications, like all of them.
Yeah,
like,
I've done that too.
Except for the phone and text. Because I'm like, this is real people.
I know, and email too. I don't have email because I was like, you know what? If it's important enough, people are gonna call me.
Yeah, or they'll call me twice, or they'll leave a message. No, so that's what I thought. I disabled everything else, and then I built in, I don't know what, like a do not disturb, like starting at like 5, and it actually like it forced me to go like, so when I'm at night, like I don't look at my emails. Like if I'm not going to be able to get to my emails, I just don't look at them because it doesn't, it's not worth it, kind of thing. And yeah. So those, again, creating boundaries.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So I guess like, so for somebody that's like had no concept of like this kind of empowered leadership or I know one of the teachers here locally, she calls it embodied leadership. So if somebody like came to you and was like, look, I have no idea what you're talking about, like this whole inner leader thing, like what would you tell them, like one thing you could do to just start fostering that relationship with your inner leader? Like how would you go about that?
So I think that the angle that I'm most fascinated with, or I've been trying to incorporate more, is that the coaching aspect of leadership, because I really feel like coaching is the next kind of leadership. And with that, to a certain degree, if like it's always hard to boil it down to like a very small thing, and I guess I'll make my one thing like the smallest thing. So I think they talk a lot about behavior change. And I guess the word I'd use there is micro behavior change.
Oh my God, that's what we use in SheQuest. We talk about, oh my God, I love micro behavior change. We say daily small acts of bravery.
That's it. So because
high five!
We're saying the same thing.
It's just like different language.
Yeah, no, and I think that because if you look at behavior change, like I saw a conference from a guy, Matt Wahlberg, at a Fitbit conference, and so you think behavior change, like, oh, you got to change how you eat because it's going to make you healthy, or you're going to lose weight or something like that. Anything you do, like, it's not just that. It's not just your health choices. It's literally everything you do. When you decide to wake up in the morning, like, it's a behavior in some way or another. And if you want to change your life, you have to change the behavior. So really, like, at the core, that's the science that really needs to be like studied in order to get anybody to do anything. Like, if you're trying to lead somebody to do a certain thing, you're trying to get them to change their behavior in some sort of capacity. And the problem is that a lot of time we're at a stage, or at least the type of work that I deal with, like, the project is humongous. Like, it's not just like, oh, you do this and this is it, voila, it's done, And same thing with personal change. It's a long road. It could take years, it could take months, whatever it is. And then you're going to say like, hey, I want you to run a marathon or whatever, 10 miles, and you're going to be like, hey, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay on my couch. So micro change, but unless if you said, hey, just go out, just breathe some air, just walk around the block, that's it. And you do that for a week, and then next week you feel a little bit better.
Yeah, I love Elizabeth Gilbert often tells this story of how she got out of her depression, and on the first one of the things she said, I love, she's like, one day, instead of being on the left side of the couch, I decided to go on the right side of the couch. And then the next day, I decided to go like just somewhere, like just moving places, but like just keep on like leaping and like.
Well, and the part there too that I love, like if you looked at some of like Dr. Joe Dispenza's work kind of stuff, it's the unknown, right? Is that most people, like, you think you're a unique individual and you're, you strive in that kind of thing, but reality is probably like you wake up at this similar time, you eat about the same breakfast every day, you listen to the same TV shows, you use the same road to drive to your office, and then you do the same work, you come back, whatever it is, it's like pretty much you do the same thing every day. And now you're going like, I have this big dilemma, this problem, and I can't find the answer. It's because you don't have something unique or unknown that allows you to find the creative solution to it.
Yeah.
And so doing simple things like being on the other side of the bed, or maybe traveling to the other side of the world, right?
And at Chic West, we through it through Creative Leaps. We do art every day, a little every day, or we do.
So what does that mean exactly? Like, so you have them do.
So, well, my classes usually are 21 days or 7 days, and we call them like mindful art. So they'll do like 5 minutes of like either doodles or watercolor work, and it's insane because you're literally tapping in the part of the brain that is creative.
Yeah.
So you're doing a creative leap every day. So so the brain doesn't know any better whether you do art, because art takes risk. Art is complete unknown. Like you have a blank page and then you make something out of nothing.
And then I bet those people that were like, oh, do this for me.
So then anything you do, well, yeah.
That's a beat. Like if you go like, well, you doodle every day, they'll be like, what are you talking about?
But that's really complex. And we're kind of going off grid there, but it's such ingrained in like our school, this framework, or like just regurgitating like the teacher's word, or like, and then when they come into a soul connection class, or they're like, oh, I know there's more out there in life, but all your life you've been told, well, do 1, 2, 3 and then you'll get 4 or whatever, so it's hard to get out of that mindset where like, oh, like I can choose what I want to do, or like, wait a minute, like I don't love that, but I love that type of thing. So I think, most people, and the online class in a way, it's like ideal because you have the flexibility to be like, I'm going to work then.
Yeah, and that's the other part too that I've been really trying to cultivate. And it's, and there's the right mix of balance there, but in the position I'm at, so not only do I study that kind of stuff, like, coaching and behavior change, and because I think at the core, it's the same elements that I need to teach somebody in integrative medicine for them to help them use with their clients is the same thing I need to it's the same type of technique you need to use with your students to get them to finish their homework or do their assignments. It's behavior change as well, right? Yeah. And so, but I've also been lucky to go to a few different conferences like South by Southwest or ESU GSV, and it's like, so I'm also very much avid in online learning specifically, and there as well, I think there's been a movement towards micro learning, which is a different conversion of the same thing, which is boiling down something in a more of a bite-size module of information, and combining all of those things with leadership. And I think that's really ultimately where I'd like to go, is being able to combine that all in a way where there's a right mix of leadership, there's a right mix of education, and then people become their own, coach. Because I think that, I think the success of seeing somebody coaching somebody is that they turn around and they get to coach other people. And then I guess that'd be the way to see that they become leaders.
That's right. In themselves. From lead by example.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. You're so inspiring. You always say like, I'm inspiring, but like you're inspiring too. And I'm so proud of you.
I'm so proud of you too. No, but I really am. And I think what's beautiful is I think your creative expressions are like, right now we're in your studio and it's surrounded by vivid colors of paintings of
but you get to be creative through like your work too.
That's correct. And I think and there's a lesson there, I think, so, because a lot of people go like, oh my God, like this is a true artist, you're painting and you're doing this.
We're all artists.
No, correct. Like I could be coding a website, some sort of very plain thing, and then I'm high-fiving myself because I feel just as creative because I'm doing something that fuels my mission. Right.
Yeah.
And so and actually, like, I think can I see a piece of paper again?
What?
No, the first page. Oh yeah, all right. Because you're like, oh, this is the line I like the most, right?
Yeah.
His purpose in life is to raise awareness, and so I actually tweaked that this year, so I should probably update my bio. But so I was feeling like, and this came from like the Abraham Hicks. There, I went there at the beginning of the year, but it's not my job to raise awareness in somebody, and so I'm actually modifying it to lead people to awareness, because it's, there's actually also, like when I was at this Harvard, the coaching leadership strategy course, there's times where you're like, because coaching is hard. Like coaching is like the difference between like because you have a master's degree in counseling, right? So counseling is different than coaching. Like counseling maybe deals more with the past or something like that. Or if you're a consultant, you have all the answers. Like, Estelle, this is what you should do.
Yeah.
Like now coaching is, what Estelle, like you tell me, right? And then you have to kind of drag it out. You have to let the person reach that conclusion by themselves. And sometimes you stand there and you go like, you just want to go like, hey, just tap along.
Well, I love that, because I think that's what I was getting, where like people sign up and they're like, tell me what to do. But then I'll tell them, let's say, like, what do you love? And then they're like, oh my God, I've never asked myself that question. And it's like, it's almost like a grieving process. It's like, what do I love? Like, what, like, wait a minute. And then like, and I guess like I'm trying to kind of link it back, like you were doing that too when you were like little, kind of like leading people, like, by making people laugh.
Oh,
and
yeah,
just like,
it's a different expression.
It's
absolutely.
a different expression of that. So you haven't gone really far from
no, I know that's it. And I think that's kind of linking back to what I learned that from like an acting director. Because, you come in, especially when you're younger and you want to be an actor and you're fueled with that, especially if you go to school, because your acting classes are the fun classes to go to, right? Because you're mostly
I learned so much through acting school, acting school.
Of course, right? Like there's so much life lessons. And then he told us, because then, who knows, next class might be math, right? Or might be just whatever it is, like something that just like, is not as much fun as playing around with a bunch of, adults on stage. But then he had the message of saying like that, the same amount of energy that you're funneling through the role that you're playing, or, the play that you're doing, whatever it is, you could funnel that energy into anything you want. Like in my case, like I found myself times where I'm funneling that through an Excel spreadsheet, right? And you're like, this is not like where you think you'd apply your artistic energy. But sometimes that's one of the pieces of the puzzle, like, that's not the most exciting, or, it's not you're on stage being, applauded by people. But it's that same energy.
Well, Alexi, you are doing that. You are widening people's lens on, through with love and art. You really are. Okay.
All right.
I have like quick answers, questions.
Now I'm nervous. Okay, fire questions. Where are we?
Okay. Do you have a favorite mantra?
Well, I don't know. It's gonna sound simple, but I say like
simple the better.
Yeah, sometimes like I just like acknowledging who I am. Like I go like I'm Alexi. Like
I love that.
And
I love that.
No,
But that's embodied leadership, there.
Well, I remember. So so I was.
I really love that. Actually,
I was embarrassed there for a second, but I'm glad you like. It was like the Dr. Joe Dispenza. I just love his stuff. Like but he does this walking meditation, which is so fantastic. By the end of it, like you're so embodied by everything. And then he goes like, walk like you are that future self. And then it's so powerful because you're there and like your posture is perfect and you're walking, and that's when it's like acknowledge who you are.
But it's like, you're already that.
Yes. But that's the point. If in that moment you are that, you're attracting it to yourself. Yeah. And so you need to be in that state more of the time, because then it comes to you. And that's why gratitude is so important, because gratitude is acknowledging the thing to be there in the present moment, even though it hasn't come to you. Yeah. So it magnifies that attraction to yourself. So.
We're speaking the same language.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Okay. Quick. Those
quick. Okay. I don't know.
You're going to laugh at the next one. Oh, no. What's your favorite flower?
Oh, great. Yeah, this is a chic-west question. My flower is... I don't know. I want to see something Hawaiian because I live there. I certainly I love orchids.
Orchids.
Yeah, I
Aw.
love orchids. Yeah.
Perfect. Favorite book you've read on leadership?
Well, I guess it's a turn there on the coaching thing, the coaching habit. I think it's what it's called.
We can put it in the show notes too.
Yes. And then extra bonus one, Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek.
Ooh, okay, thank
really
you.
Good one, yes.
And what's your favorite podcast?
Well, of course, Estelle Thompson is my favorite. It's probably the only podcast I've favorited. Not that I don't listen to too many podcasts. I seem to be on YouTube a lot, so I think things like the Productivity Game.
It's funny. I never think of going on YouTube for that, but
yeah.
But I'd love to put like all your recos, like the YouTube recos, because that's all free, right?
Yeah. Sure.
We can put in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then the other one, actually, I do quite a bit that I find quite meditative is the Abraham Hicks stuff.
Okay.
Where I find her, she's in just complete state of flow all the time.
Okay.
And it's very, it's this kind of what we're talking about, just magnified.
Amazing.
So I do quite a bit of that.
Last, coffee or wine?
Coffee or wine? Can it be coffee or beer? Is that an acceptable conversion?
Yes.
And then I'll challenge this. Why do I have to pick one of the two? Can I go with both? I mean, what time of day is this? Because I can answer these questions very
classic Drouin.
Like classic Drouin, non-committal to. I'm gonna probably have to go coffee. I think that I say that a lot. Like the university I've built is built on coffee, on caffeine.
And you just gave me that organic blend from Hawaii, which is
I brought some
amazing.
Organic coffee.
Okay, one final question, because now you are in. I've never done that long of a podcast. I love it.
Oh yeah, but that when you're in the flow, 56 minutes. What?
Okay, but I want to ask you. I want to ask you this last question. Okay, it's a loaded one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Yes. So, knowing what you know about the beauty of relationship, and especially the one you have with yourself and your inner leader, what do you wish humans, knew about the magic of leadership?
Okay. Well, I think this is a part I'm completely fascinated with as far as the leadership component. And I think that's where things should go in. And it's something that we certainly cover quite a bit at Quantum, but it's the neuroscience aspect of it. Because you kind of don't, and it's not it's the science. I'm going to convert your question from the magic to the science, but this is actually where I think it started to really make sense, is that neurochemicals like oxytocin and dopamine and endorphins and serotonin, these are all amazing. These are the things that make you love more and collaborate more with other people. This is what creates more creativity and feelings of pleasure and focus. And, when you exercise, you have that amazing feel-good body. These are those types of hormones like serotonin that builds gratitude and flexibility. So when you think about it, when you're a leader, these are the hormones that you should be fostering as a leader, because the opposite side of that, if you have too much adrenaline or noradrenaline, and especially cortisol, this creates more stress. It reduces the immune system. Your way to see the big picture lowers if you have too much cortisol, or it lessens your ability to collaborate with others. So if you think about it from a leadership perspective, you should be doing everything in your power to diminish those negative emotions, those negative hormones, and accentuate the positive ones. And it's actually a harder battle than you think, because most people are actually, it's twofold. So how more people tend to always focus on the negative part is because we're chemically predispositioned for that. Cortisol stays active in your body longer and so that way you actually have to fight harder to stay positive. And also things like cortisol, and it's like a rush, people are actually addicted on that stuff. And also now you're fighting against you being addicted to having the cortisol rush of being stressed out by work, and you need that. If not, you don't feel like it's working. So now you have to actually reverse that. But the truth is, if you want to be a good leader and you want to foster an environment and a culture that actually cultivates like good, happy worker that are more perform, more collaborative, more everything, then you should focus on the things that create oxytocin, love, and serotonin and dopamine so that they are happier. This actually makes business, this makes scientific sense to think about it that way. So for me, the magic of leadership is the science, the neuroscience that follows that conversation. I think is
small micro changes.
In small micro changes. So just smile a little bit more. This I got from a Tony Robbins event. This is, so if you're listening to this, you're in your car, if you're at home, just follow along with me. So take your butt. Okay? I'm telling you, this is gonna work. This is scientific. You just shake it around, like just shake your butt cheeks a little bit. Then you just go like this. Yeah, look, like it's impossible not to laugh a little bit. It actually makes you feel good. I know this sounds ridiculous, but it's not a it's not a big change. You literally just need to shake your ass a little bit, and it's gonna make you feel better. It's gonna make you smile. So this is the type of micro behavior. Of course, you can run a 10K or whatever else makes you happy, or do yoga or art and doodle.
Actually, you're gonna laugh. I have a class that's called shaking and dancing, and it's basically what we do. We just shake our butts.
Right. It's attitude is what it's called. It's good to have good attitude.
I can't believe we're finishing this podcast on a butt note.
Yes, I know. Wait, but I like to say
I could talk to you forever.
It's the butt end of the joke. But yes, no, we could speak forever. And I'm actually super grateful because and I'm glad this opportunity of the podcast is good because I'd like to have more conversation. We're on the other side of the world a lot of time, and and we were much closer, I think, when in proximity when we were younger. And I feel so close to you because we got to live through that or survive that together when we were younger. That I think that bond will be there forever. But I certainly love you.
Forever.
And beyond. Oh, I love you so much.
Je t'aime,
Alexi. Je t'aime aussi.
How can we support you, and where can we find you?
Gosh, you can find me in my beach in Hawaii. I guess I'm on LinkedIn or Twitter. So obviously, follow everything Quantum University. We put out tons of great stuff on the internet. I don't know. I don't do much on Twitter and stuff, but I'm on Alexi Drouin. Yeah. I'm one of Estelle's friends on Facebook. You can find me.
Amazing.
No, I honestly what you could do is just do something for yourself. Because when it boils down to it, it's like to do all of this, you've got to find the inner motivation in you. And so and also I've learned things like my greatest friendships and people I don't want anything from anybody. I think that sometimes that's surprising from people. People always, you feel like you expect something from them or they want something from you. I just started with my friends. I don't want anything from them, and I just want to have a good time. If I meet you, I just want to have a good conversation, and that's it. I don't want anything from you guys. I love you.
Love it.
Just support Estelle, whatever she does. That's it. I'm just trying to be a good brother.
And I try to be a good sister.
That's it.
Thank you so much for doing this. It's so great. Thank you, Chiquest. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.